7 years I was a lonely boy.
You have been in this industry for a while. Can you talk to me a little bit about how it's changed over the last 2 years from what it was to what it is now?
Yeah, personally and universally, obviously, it's changed. Gigs, I guess, are starting to happen a bit overseas. I'd still feel a bit weird about going on a full-on tour. I have missed a couple of gigs as a result of our lockdowns and everything for the last few months. But now I think it will start to get back into the swing of things. For me personally, because of last year and being locked in for so much time, I kind of upgraded my skills as far as producing myself, which I always could do, but I always had the fallback of a producer or a mixer once I'm finished with a certain amount of background work. And I just started finishing songs myself and working from my bedroom, which I guess a lot of people are going to start doing. So then, music studios, which I think were already suffering, are going to suffer even more because people are going to be like, you know what, I can do this at home. As in probably a lot of jobs now, people are like, well, I don't really need to live in a big city and go to the office to do this work. So that's been quite positive and empowering. The live thing, let's see what's going to happen with that. I did do a pretty extensive European tour in 2019, right before everything went down. So it's not, for me personally, it's not super urgent for me to get on the road, but by next year, maybe the year after, I'll certainly want to be back on the road.
So I want to maybe talk about a little bit about this, like upskilling yourself as an artist and learning different things or the things that you could do, just bettering them, like producing yourself. This is obviously a skill that you can then take forward into producing for other people. That's obviously something that you would look at, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe down the line, I know I have actually already had like my first request for someone to produce and think it's the right fit. But I wonder, yeah, maybe later in life find somewhere beautiful to live and produce other people. And obviously with the way things are, people can just send you things. You don't even need to be in the same room, which although that is a nice thing about the musical connection and jamming together in a room, but maybe that's a luxury. So it could be interesting. I don't know. I think the fact that I can produce myself now and has taken out it's only my ego involved and not the ego of the producer as well. The minute I'm bringing someone else and producing them, then it's back to clashing egos. So I'm quite enjoying this break from the clash.
But isn't
not
the Clash
band?
good?
I like the band, the Clash.
I like the band, the Clash. But isn't the Clash good? Because like I would feel like
it is. It's
bounce.
good. Yeah.
You would bounce, and then if something
totally. And actually, I remember. Yeah.
Sorry, go.
No, exactly. Exactly that. I remember with this wonderful producer, Joey Waronker, who's one of the best drummers in the world, and he was saying that good records are made from conflict. So it is true, but it is exhausting as well, because I've had a lot of conflict. I've made some good records, but there's been a lot of conflict. Friendly, fun conflict, but when you're in it, it's not fun.
Yeah, it must be, because I mean, also like you said, there's a lot of ego working on an album because everyone is really good at what they're doing, or at least believes that they are. And I've got to ask, are there songs that you've gone over the years, this is the one, this song is going to be great, and then people that are there, the producers or whoever goes, no, this is cuck? Has that ever happened?
I'm wondering. It must have happened. Well, there's another dynamic actually is my manager, who's been with me for since my first album, so around just over 10 years. He's a wonderful, the old school A&R with the guys in the record label that worked with artists and signed artists, but also helped make the albums. And he worked with so many great New York and Radiohead. And so he's kind of an integral part of the process as well. And he is working. So there's that to negotiate as well. I do like, and then sometimes he really likes something and I'm not too sure. I'm actually working on something new at the moment and going through lots of versions and sending him. So for sure. And in fact, sometimes he's wrong. On the first album, I had a version of my song "We All Are Dancing," which ended up being, well, certainly in South Africa, a really big hit. And driving around London with him and talking to him, and I played him the song just on guitar earlier, and he was like, "No, it has been done. People aren't going to like it," that kind of thing. And he was wrong about that, because I put it down on the second that he did admit, because I played it live in Montreal and he was in the crowd just as an afterthought at the end of a big show after my first album was finished and before the second one was made. And there was such a huge response from the audience. They just went ballistic from the middle of the song and didn't stop. The whole crowd were just cheering. And as soon as I walked off stage, he was like, "Right, you have to go in studio and record that one now." but initially he got it wrong. So you need to listen to people, but you also need to know when to trust your gut.
How does an album happen for you? I mean, so obviously you conceptualize it and then you sit and you write it, or do you already have things in folders? How does it work and how do you put that together? Because an album essentially is an art piece in itself, right? Each song is a piece of art, but the album as a whole's got to work together. How does that happen?
Yeah, again, that's another thing that's been changing before even the last 2 years of Fun and Games. The album as a piece, it's not really like that anymore, and I don't know if we'll come back to that, but it seems like with streaming and people's attention span, the thing to do is you put out a song, maybe 2 songs, and you put out another two, and eventually you have 10, 12, 14, and you put it all out together. But I always enjoyed the album process, where you go somewhere where maybe you have some ideas. You go somewhere, which in the first album was in the UK, the second one was in LA, the third one was here, the fourth one was in Ibiza, and you have a life for like a year that revolves around these songs happening, and adventures happen and coincidences happen, and you pull together this work with 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and it's a sound, and it's a chapter of your life in this place. But it doesn't seem to be like that anymore. First album's different though. The first album for anyone is your greatest hits, for a songwriter anyway, because you've had your whole life to write those songs. Maybe you get discovered when you're 25 or 28 or 21 or whatever, but you've had your whole life to write these 10, 15 best songs. And then if that is successful at all, you'll have like 2 months to write your next album. So it's hopefully it won't change again, where the songs just become like little sound bites of songs.
No, please, no. Dude, I love an album. I love, obviously you can see I love being taken on a journey. I love to consume the art as it is laid out for me. And it used to be my favorite thing to go and buy, and now I'm going to give away my age, but go buy a CD at CNA and put it in my CD player and play it from song 1 to song 12, and then listen to the bonus track and just be on that adventure. And as much as I do love and do use Spotify and Apple Music, and I listen to like what's happening now, I always find myself going to the artist and looking for more of that, and looking for that story and that journey. So it makes me kind of sad that we've moved from album to EP, from EP to singles.
No, I resisted for a long time. there's so many things that I like about the album. There's the album that you have maybe in your car that just is there for like a few weeks and you don't have anything else. You forget to put anything else in. So you put the album in and you listen to it over and over. And then maybe 2 or 3 of the songs that you wouldn't have liked initially, that you would never have downloaded or streamed, you end up loving those songs.
Yep.
So that's that is becoming a thing of the past. But maybe it will come back. I don't know, unless the biggest artists on the planet that have an army of songwriters to produce things for them, songwriters and producers, and all they've got to do eventually is you go into the studio and bang down a vocal and everything's done for them. They can keep putting albums of 15 songs out, constantly, because it's almost like a factory.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I don't operate that way. I do operate more on the old school wavelength. So I would like to see it continue. But yeah, I wonder, streaming is probably the way things are going to go, and things don't ever come back. I mean, people buy vinyl, collectors, but yeah. Wow. Yes, it'll be interesting.
I've already turned into my grandparents and I'm not even 40. Yeah. Back in my day. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about 7 years. It is the latest single that we're playing on Jacaranda FM at the moment. What is this one about, and how did this one happen?
So 7 years, the idea behind it, I was reading somewhere about a particular spiritual tradition that talks about how every human being in their life goes through a 7-year cycle where everything is just rough. A lot of rough things happen. It's like walking through mud. Things don't just connect and they don't manifest, and maybe just difficult life difficulties. And I've seen it with other people I know, and to an extent been going through it, coming out of it now. But it's been quite an interesting last few years, culminating in the last couple of years. And in a way, the human race also going through something like this on a big scale. So the song kind of popped out. And it was also the first one I fully produced myself. So it's kind of simple. I wanted to get this feeling of a little bit like a spaghetti western, a little bit like the Andes Mountains. And also there's an element, it's not a sad or depressing song. There's an element of hope and getting through it. So that's basically what the song's about. But usually what happens with songs is that I think they're about something, and then 2, 3, 4 years later, as I'm playing them and experiencing them over and again, I'm like, oh no, actually that wasn't what the song was all about. This is actually what the song is about.
But that's the beauty of music, that it will grow with you and change with you as you grow and change, and your perspective shifts.
Totally,
yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing. But also, I love that we're now singing about and writing about things like this, because I don't think back in the day this 7-year cycle would have ever been anywhere near a song. But everyone in the last couple of years, because I think we've had to take a step back and look at ourselves, we've started to realize that there are these cycles and there are these things and there are these shifts, and it's okay to embrace them. And they're possibly going to be initially, but you're going to learn and you're going to move on. And I feel, for me, that's what the song is for me personally.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be okay.
Yeah, no, that's the feeling towards the end of the song. I'm still alive, I'm still here. The journey rolls on, and it's also kind of got that feeling of a road song, like the sense of being on the road as like a metaphor for life journey. I'm making it seem more serious, but it's not fluffy, but it's, for me, quite a light, invigorating. I don't know. There's something happy about it. Whereas maybe some of my other stuff, like Beautiful Lie, which people really like, but there's more of a melancholy to those songs.
When you're writing, do you have a melody? Do you have a line? Do you have a word? What hits you first?
Everyone is totally different every song. Occasionally you get lucky and you sit down and a song tumbles out, but I mean, I say occasionally, probably like twice in my life where that just happens. Sometimes it's a riff, sometimes it's a line that came up to you in your head, or an idea for what the song should be about. Like I think with my song Club Thing, I had an idea of writing a song about the club and having it be a club song, but being about the dark side of club life and the people that get sucked in, but make it like anthemic clubby. With this one, I think it started with an idea of these Andes guitars, Andes mountains, where you have almost like an orchestra of guitars strumming these chords. And I had these two chords that I was strumming over and over, which is with the verse of the song. And then the idea is 7 years. And the first line, the first two lines, I think I had for a while. 7 years, I was a lonely boy getting more than I'm giving. And then the other stuff, gradually, for me anyway, it's kind of painstaking. It's like a little jigsaw puzzle, and I've got to be working on a few at the same time. Otherwise, it would just take way too long. So like I've got 10 I'm working on now, and they'll probably take me 5 years to finish all of them, and by which time there'll be more.
Okay, dude, how do you find balance between work and play and work and everything else? There has to be balance, surely.
Yeah. Well, it's weird now because, I mean, what's play at the moment? I'm getting, went to a festival this last weekend, that first time in about a year and a half.
Wow.
Well, I had to have vaccination passes. But other times play, for the last year and a half, it hasn't been that fun. It's, me walking in the forest or maybe on the beach, or I have an old friend. We have like movie evening at him with the big screen TV. We watched Dune last week. That's the extent of play at the moment. It's not awfully fun. So again, cycles. But the last record, Multiverse, that I did in Ibiza, not the crazy south part of the island party, the north part, which is more like I'd say Neisner, Plettenberg Bay of Europe, but in Spain. And then if you want, there are parties 45 minutes away. But that was mad, and that was just a fantastic couple of years of sun and sea and making music and dance and interesting people, drum circles. And so I can't really complain because I've had these wonderful moments, and I don't mind getting a bit stuck in at the moment because the energy now is kind of conducive to being holed up in your room and creating things. But the problematic thing though is if you're not living enough and doing enough and meeting enough people and connecting enough, then maybe the work gets a bit dry and you don't know what to write about anymore.
What do you do as a songwriter when that happens, when you look at the blank page and you're like, what do you tap into?
Yeah, that's kind of pretty much every single record I've made. When it's come to the end of the record and they need like one more song or a B-side or whatever it is, I'm just thinking, every single one I have to like just rack my brains for something. Either it's an old idea or an old song, and it's really, I've done different things to get that last song. I think the one time when I was in LA, I hitchhiked to Burning Man. I got a ticket the day before and I hitchhiked with like nothing, and just to see, I needed like 4 more lines for a song. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm here, I'm in LA, Burning Man's now, I'm going to see what happens. And that worked out. I got the lines. And then the record I did in South Africa, I took a drive up the East Coast and just found a little shack by the beach that I rented and just sat and played and finally got an idea of what to do, which was I started jamming an old song of mine, and as I started strumming it on the beach, a dolphin jumped out of the sea in front of me, and then it started to rain, and I went inside, and I'm like, okay. And then I just re-recorded that song. And so, yeah, you look for coincidences, you try to step out of wherever you're at. All those things can work. But yeah, and I've done many mad things, actually. I'm thinking of more things to get that last bit of juice out of there. Yeah.
Dude, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and I'm like, this man has lived a life. Like, you have lived. I feel like you have definitely experienced life.
I've had a very, very interesting journey for a good long time. Like starting from being just out of high school in Cape Town, and I got discovered by total random freak accident, just some little demos I'd done on a CD here, and I got sent to New York City and played for Columbia Records, and I got a development deal after I played for the president of the company, and then they brought me to New York to work, and I was just like, just out of school, really. And there's a lot it still took me from that time, it took me about 7 years actually to get a proper record deal, which was in the UK. And then from then, the things just got really fierce up until the last few years. And now I'm looking to accelerate things again and up the pace. I think I'm ready.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think the universe paused you necessarily. I feel like you couldn't be hitchhiking to Burning Man and like living at that life indefinitely. I feel like a pause is also good for creativity. Just like living so is a pause. Yeah. Like stepping back is good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I somewhat burned myself out. And this has been a lot of what the last couple of years for me personally has been like recovering from that. I mean, besides all the adventures and the things I was doing, the missions to Burning Man, Ibiza, wherever. Yeah, when you're on tour, it's just hectic. And my first 2 albums that were very successful overseas, it was just fierce, and at no point was I big in South America or Australia or Japan or any of that, but I was going to the US, Canada, Europe, a lot of Russia and Eastern Europe and here, and you constantly needed to be somewhere. And when you're there, you are sleeping 3-4 hours a night. You got extreme pressure to perform really well in the nights. When you play a show, you've just got to be, there's people that have traveled to see you, and you got to be good, and it doesn't matter that you're tired. And then you just keep on and keep on and keep on, and then as soon as you're done, then you need to start creating a new album. So it's hectic, and I can see how certain people have totally burned out and not come back.
Yeah, I can see that as well. But I also feel like you seem pretty balanced as a human. Like you seem very like fun and adventure-y, but I feel like there's also there's a balance here for you, because I think you come across as the kind of person who knows that like lots of play, but also lots of work, but then we must also like not.
Yeah. I suppose. I think, yeah, I never went off the deep end, but even so, you just the life is just very intense. All that I've certainly become a lot more balanced with the way I deal with touring. It's really important to go back to the hotel once the show's done.
Could never be me.
It's just one of those things. I was reading Leonard Cohen, who made it to 83 and was pretty wild himself, and he was talking about being on tour, and he would drink red wine. That was his thing to survive on stage, because you're just so tired. And he'd start before the show, and that was his tip. He was like, as long as you stop as soon as the show is done and go to the hotel, you're fine. Like if you carry on, that's when you're going to run into trouble. So yeah, I've gotten more balanced. I think I'm pretty balanced about all these things. I'm not like a young British indie band that's just wild and crazy and you see them come and go. Yeah, it's a tricky one. You kind of want to enjoy the process as well. I'm glad I had a lot of adventures as well, especially in the early years, and I wasn't too much of a Boy Scout because yeah, you want to have the adventures, but of course if it's too much adventure, then the art isn't much good, and things get cut short, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, where can we follow you? Where can we follow your adventures when they start to happen again?
Yeah, well, they're just starting to happen again. So Facebook, if anyone uses Facebook, and obviously I think it's Yoav Music Official on Instagram. Yeah, Twitter. Does anyone use Twitter? But yeah, I guess it's Instagram, Facebook still these days. I'm told I need to get a TikTok account. That's my next thing that I really want to do.
I was just going to ask you if you are on the TikTok yet.
I'm going to have to do that. So what I'm probably going to do for TikTok, just to do something that's a bit different from my other things, I have this mad live looping and sampling setup that I've been building for the last few years. I'm looking at it now. And when I get back into using it, which has been a while because I've been recording, I think that will be my TikTok thing, is showing people the things that I can do on the guitar that are maybe out of the ordinary. I'm not going to do TikTok dance videos, but that's like all I know from TikTok is dance video and people talking about something that's close to their heart. And I'm not good at that stuff. I'd rather do it with a song.
You really need to spend more time on TikTok because the algorithm is incredibly accurate. And I'm heavily invested in like conspiracy TikTok, but also thirst trap, like great tracksuit pants TikTok, but also cleaning the kitchen TikTok. So you can get all of it.
All of that. Wow.
Yeah, and more. So just spend some time scrolling and liking but I'll definitely be into your TikTok. I'll make sure.
Yeah. And maybe I'd like to find a different angle for that. Yeah, because this seems to be the thing of the future. It probably isn't even the thing of the future. There's a new thing in the future already that we don't know about.
Yep.
But yeah, I resisted. Even with Instagram, I was like, I'm so old school. I just don't want to take pictures of my life and post them. And I only started it like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago with the last tour. I think that's when I started it. So yeah, and now here I am talking about TikTok.
Okay, well, we'll follow you on TikTok when you get one, but for now, Instagram and Facebook. And obviously stream the song everywhere. We're allowed to make the TikTok dances with your songs, right? Like you don't have to, but we can.
Oh yeah. No, that would be ideal. If other people want to make TikTok dances, that would be.
Okay, well, there you go. Let's make TikTok dances. Thank you, dude, for your time. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. And good luck with everything that's coming. I feel like it's about to be another whirlwind for you.
Yeah, it's coming. I have a couple of these songs that are coming through now that feel like they're going to be big songs again. It's been a little while since that's been flowing through, and then so just getting my strength and my head together for another wave, because it comes in waves of fame and fortune. So I'll wait for the next one.
Cool. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of what's left of this year. And we look forward to catching up in 2022.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks, dude. Bye.
Jacaranda FM.